Have you ever envisioned enhancing your RPA projects with the power of Python? As RPA professional, you know the transformative impact automation has in the business world. Hello, I'm Marcelo, a senior RPA developer and content creator. I'm excited to take you throughout the journey of leveraging Python to elevate your RPA solutions. We will dive into Python's strengths, understand why it complements Low-Code RPA, and get to know what is BotCity. And then, step by step, set up your environment, develop and deploy your first Python-powered automation. So, by the end of this tutorial, you will be equipped with advanced tools and knowledge to innovate and scale with Python on your automation projects. So let's jump in and explore the synergies of Python and RPA together. Briefly explaining, Python is a programming language created by Guido van Rossum in the late 1980s. Python has a philosophy of simplicity and readability. The Zen of Python, which is a collection of 19 guiding principles for writing programs that influence the design of Python, clearly addresses that with principles like beautiful is better than ugly and simple is better than complex. Python is by far the most popular programming language. Its versatility makes it popular across diverse fields, from web and software development to data analysis and artificial intelligence. Now on Python advantages. First, it's easy to learn and use. In second, its flexibility. Python can be used for various types of programming. In third, it has extensive standard and third-party libraries. So with a large standard library offering a broad range of modules and functions that handle everything from file I/O to web services and much more. And this rich ecosystem is supplemented by a vast collection of over 500,000 third-party libraries for all kinds of applications. In fourth, Python has a large and active community, which means a wealth of documentation, guides, tutorials, and an abundance of third-party libraries and frameworks. Why it complements with Low-Code RPA? So first of all, accessibility. So we make use of skills of both professional developers and citizen developers. Then on flexibility and customization, so Python enables deeper customization and complex logic implementation. Then on speed and efficiency, the low-code aspect speeds up the development process, while Python usually can ensure better performance. And in last but not least, optimized operations. So the combination offers more economical RPA operation, better lock-in protection, and productivity. BotCity is a complete platform for developers to build, deploy, manage, and scale coded automations. So it provides a studio, frameworks, and plugins to speed up automations development. It allows to deploy automations easily, either from the CLI or upload them manually on the platform. It provides the BotCity Maestro, a powerful and easy-to-use orchestrator that allows you to monitor and control your automations, manage your machines, and audit your pipeline in a single place. And in last but not least, it allows you to scale, so you are totally free to set up and choose where you want to run your automations, virtual machine, Docker container, or AWS Lambda, that's up to you. So now we will set up our environment to be able to run Python automations and now to support BotCity, and then we'll create the BotCity account and download and install BotCity on our machine, and then we'll develop our first bot, which will read data from an Excel file and then fill the data on a web form. So first, we'll install Python so we can develop and run Python automations. So to download it, we just have to go to python.org, and then when we are here, go to Downloads, and then it will appear a button to download the latest Python version. So let's just press on the button to download. So download already finished. Let's execute the installer. And before starting installation, let's just check the checkbox add python.exe to path, and then let's press install now. So setup was successful, and before closing this window, let's just press on disable path length limit. And now we are good. Let's press close. So now if we go over the terminal and execute the command py and now press enter, it should appear the Python version that was installed. Then we need to install Java because BotCity Studio SDK tools are written in Java, and in order to use these tools we need to have Java 11 or higher. So to download Java, we just have to go over this URL. And by the way, you can find these links on the description of this tutorial. And then when we are here, let's just scroll a bit. And now here, we just have to choose the operating system. And now let's download the MSI installer by clicking here on this link. Download finished, let's execute the installer. So let's press next, next. Java was successfully installed. Let's close this window. And now if we go again to the terminal and execute the command java-version, it should show the Java version that is currently installed on our machine. Then to run automations that uses the browser, we need to download the WebDriver. So we'll develop automation that will use the Chrome browser. So that means that we need to have the WebDriver for Chrome, which is the chromedriver. So to download it, we just need to go to this link and then it will appear this page. Then we just have to verify our Chrome version by going here to About Chrome. And here you can see that I have the 120. So as we can see here, if we have the Chrome version equal or above 115, we just have to go over this link. Else, if you have one that is below 115, you have to check out here the version compatible with your Chrome version. So in my case, I will get the WebDriver from this page. And now let's download the stable version. And here you can see some options to download the chromedriver. So let's download for our operating system, in my case Windows. So I'll copy this link and then paste on a new tab. And the download was done. So here you can see it. So let's unzip the folder. And now, very important, let's cut this folder and paste it on the place where you prefer. I'll paste on the C drive. So I'll paste it here. And it's very important to remember where this folder, so the chromedriver, it's located, because we'll need to know when we are developing our web automation. Then, in order to be able to download BotCity automation templates, we need to install the library cookiecutter. And to install it, we just have to go over the terminal and execute the command pip install cookiecutter as it's here. And then press the enter, and we have now the cookiecutter installed. And then last but not least, it's very important to have a code editor to develop the scripts. You can use one that you prefer. I greatly recommend Visual Studio Code. It's very lightweight, it's fast, it's simple, and it has really nice features. So to download it, you just have to go over code.visualstudio.com and then press here on this button to download. And then let's just execute the installer. Let's accept, click on next, 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 and click on install. And that's it. So now let's just close this window. And now that we have the main requirements fulfilled, let's create our BotCity account. So to create a BotCity account, first we have to go to BotCity website. And you can find on the description of this tutorial the link to go to the website. So then we have to click on sign up. And now here we have to provide an email address and then define the account password and click on sign up. Now we just have to check out our email, and you should receive an email from BotCity to activate the account. So to activate the account, we just have to press here on this button. So now here we can provide our name. And then if you want, you can indicate here where you work and also for what you'll use BotCity. So now here we can see the BotCity orchestrator. So from here we can download BotCity Studio, and to download it we just have to click here where it says download studio, and now you just have to click the option for your operating system. So I'll click on download for Windows. So now let's just unzip here the folder. And now to install BotCity Studio, let's execute this file. And now if it appears this warning, just press on more info and click on run anyway. So first we can choose where we want to install BotCity. So I'll leave the default location and click on next. Now here we have to provide the email that we have used to create the account and the account password that we have defined. So let's put the email and also the password. And let's click on next. And now we have to set up a runner. So a runner, we can think about it as a virtual machine, a container, or a physical machine. So where the automation will execute. So if we had runners already created, we could choose from here, but because we don't have, let's create a new one. So here we can enter the name that you want, for example, desktop, and click on next. We have now finished the installation of BotCity. We are now ready to go. And here you can see some options to change the setup of BotCity Runner. We can launch the BotCity Studio, launch BotCity Runner, the Runner GUI, and open the SDK folder. So for now, let's just minimize and let's close these windows. So now we can go ahead and create our first Python bot. So first, let's just create a folder where we'll store our automations, our Python scripts. So I'll just have here a new folder on the documents with the name BotCity projects. And now inside of this folder, we'll create our first project. So to create a new project, let's do a right click and open the terminal on this folder. So here you can see that we have opened the terminal on the folder that we have created. And first, let's run the following commands. So we have installed previously the cookiecutter, but just make sure, let's execute this command again. So it was already installed, and now let's execute the following one. And this command that we can see here, it's to basically create a new project using BotCity templates. So here we can see the command. So I'll just execute it. So because I have already executed this command, it was found already the file that is downloaded from it. So I'll just press yes to download it again. So now we have to select the project type. So if it will be a desktop, web, both, or custom. So our first bot will be a web bot that basically will read data from Excel and then fill a web form. So let's here choose the option number 2. Now we have to define the bot ID. It can be, for example, web form filling. Press enter, and that's it. So now if we take a look here on the folder, we can see that was created a folder, web form filling, and here we can see the files that came already when we create a project using BotCity template. So now let's open Visual Studio Code on this folder. So let's click on open folder here on this tab. And now let's go to Documents, BotCity Projects, Web Form Filling, and click on Select Folder. Now let's just click on Yes, I trust the authors. So here you can see that we have already many files by default. So let's focus on the most important ones. So the bot.py file. It's the file where we'll develop our bot, where we'll have the code to develop our bot. Then the resource folder can be used to store files used with the bot, like images, spreadsheets, files, and so on. And then another file that it's important is the requirements.txt. So basically it's here where it's defined the dependencies that are used in the code in our bot. So whenever we want to add a new dependency, first we should add it here and then execute the command that we'll see later, that basically will look at this file and install the dependencies that weren't installed yet on our environment. So now just a tip, if you are using Visual Studio Code, I highly recommend to install the Python extension, which will install automatically also the Pylons extension, and it can help really a lot with development on Python. So yeah, it's really worth to install at least the Python extension for Visual Studio Code. So now let's go over the bot.py file. So looking here at the top, we can see some commands, and we have to run this command. So what will do this command? It will basically look to the requirements.txt file and on the dependencies that are here that aren't added on our environment. So they will be installed. So if they aren't installed on our environment, they will be installed by this command. And yeah, so we have to execute it. So let's execute the command. So we can just open the terminal from VS Code. So it opens already here on the project folder. So we just have to run this command. And yeah, so we have installed the dependencies if they were missing. In my case, because they were already installed, nothing happened basically. So before starting to develop our first bot, let's just take a brief look to the code that already exists on the file. So initially it's imported some dependencies. This one to import the web bot, so to work with the browser, and then BotCity.Maestro, basically for integration with BotCity Maestro SDK, as it says here. Then we have here, we are instantiating the web bot. Bot.browse opens the browser on the provided URL, so in this case on the BotCity website. Then we have here a section dedicated to implement the logic of our bot. Then we have a bot.wait that basically causes a delay, on this case of 3 seconds. And then bot.stopBrowser, it's to basically avoid leaving instance of the WebDriver open, as it explains here. So let's just run the bot to see how it's working. But before, we have to define some settings, like the browser to be used. So we can see here that we have to uncomment this line to define the browser to be used on this bot. So if we delete Firefox and now do Control Space, here we can see the options that we have available: Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. So we'll use Chrome. And now, very important, we have to uncomment this line. We have to pass here the full path to the chromedriver. So let's just get it. So I have it on the C drive. It's here, so we have to pass the path until the chromedriver executable. So let's just select it, and now copy path. And now let's just replace. And here we have the path to our chromedriver. So let's just save. And that's basically it. So it should be good to execute. So now to execute our bot, let's just press here this button to run the Python file. And as we can see, was open the browser on the BotCity website and then it was closed. So it's working well. So let's get started with our bot development. So our bot will first have to read an Excel file which you can download. So on the description of the tutorial you can find a link from where you can download this file. And so this file, as we can see here, has some rows and idea. The bot has to read this file and then open the browser on this web form. And then for each row that we have here, excluding the headers, submit the data on the form fields. So the employee name on the field employee name, years of service on years of service, and so on. Then click on submit to submit the data. And then it will appear a button that allows to submit another form response. So the bot will click on this option and basically go to the next row to submit the data of the next row and do this loop until there are rows to process. And when all the rows are processed, it should close the browser. So that's basically it. And for the first bot step, we'll use pandas, which is a library for data analysis and manipulation. So to install this dependency, here on requirements.txt, we can see that we have here commented pandas. So basically we just have to uncomment. And now to install, we have to save first here the file, to save the change. And now let's just open here the terminal. And now we just have to execute this command to make sure the dependency is installed on our environment. Dependency installed, and now to be able to use it on our bot code, we have to import it. So to import, it's pretty simple. Here, let's add import pandas, and that's basically it. So now to read Excel file using pandas, here, after setting the WebDriver path, let's add here the following expression, pandas dot read, and here we can see Excel. And now we have to provide the file path. So to get it, just select the file and then choose copy path, and now paste. And before the first double quote, let's add an R, and it's just to ensure that the file path is interpreted correctly by Python. So it's a good practice. So this has an output. So the output, it's basically a data frame, which is a two-dimensional data structure. And just to save the output, let's just create here a variable with the name data, for example, equal. And so it will save the output from read in Excel, which will be a data frame. So let's just right after print to see if we have some data on the variable. And to avoid to go further, let's add here a breakpoint right after the print. So here, for example, and now if we run in debug mode, so debug the Python file, it will stop when it reaches this breakpoint, and so it will not open the browser. So let's click on debug Python file. And here you can see that our automation stopped here before opening the browser. And here on the terminal, we can see the data that was extracted from our Excel files. We are being able to get the data from the file and save it on a variable. So now we can stop the bot execution by clicking here on this option. And let's just remove this breakpoint by clicking on it. So to remove, just click on the breakpoint and it disappears. Now, after reading the data from the Excel file, we want to navigate. So open the browser on the web form. So you can find the link on the description of this tutorial. So let's paste the link here. And now let's see if it opens the browser on the web form. So let's run our file in normal mode without debug. And here we can see that was open the browser on the web form and then it was closed. So after opening the browser, then we have to create a loop for each row that we have on our variable that has the data from the Excel file. And so then for each row, we'll get the data from each column to fill on the web form fields. So to create a loop, here let's create a for loop. So for index row in data, so on our variable data, dot iter rows. Now let's add double colon. And now let's just press enter. And so now inside of this loop, we have to perform the actions that we want to perform per each row of our Excel file. So just to explain, data, here it's a data frame, and iter rows basically generates an iterator object of the data frame that allows us to iterate each row from our data frame, which is basically, we can imagine it as a table. So let's verify if we are really iterating each row from our data frame, from our table. So let's add here a print statement. And so let's print the row, see the data, and let's remove this print. And now let's run our file. And so here we can see the rows that were iterated. So it seems that it's working well. So for example, let's say that from each row we want to get only the employee name. So how we can do it? So we can do it by using the column name. So for example, employee name. So here on row, let's open brackets, quotes, and now let's paste here the column name. And let's see if we only see the employee name for each row iterated. So let's just add here a breakpoint after the loop on this bot.wait, and let's debug the file. The bot stopped here. Let's scroll a bit. And here we can see only the employee name from each row. So we know now how we can retrieve specific data from each row. So now we have to find a way to the bot fill the data on the form fields. So fill employee name on employee name and so on. So we'll use, so in order for the bot to be able to find the elements that we want, the fields, and after finding them, fill the data properly, we'll use XPaths, which is a query language, and in simple terms, it's like a navigation tool to go throughout elements from a web page, for example, and attributes, and it allows to find specific pieces, so specific elements from an application, from a website. So we'll use XPaths to find the fields. So after finding them, we can manipulate them. So in this case, fill the data. So let's see in practice how we can implement that. So here inside of the loop, we can remove this print statement, and let's declare a variable, employee name field, and basically we'll store here let's say the reference to the field that we will find and how we will find it. So here let's add bot.find element, and now let's open parentheses and double quotes, and here we have to pass the XPath expression that will allow the bot to find, to target the field, the employee name field. So to build this expression, this XPath expression, let's go back here to the browser. And now let's here on the apply name field, do a right click and click on inspect. And so we are redirected here to the inspect page. And so here we can see the piece of code that it's related to this field. So we can see that it's input field of type text. And now, for example, so we can understand faster how this will work, let's do Ctrl F inside of this tab. And here it opens a search bar that allows us to search elements by XPath. So we can test here the XPath expressions before using them on the bot. So first we have to use // and then let's say that we want to target element of type input. And now let's say that we want only to target elements input of type text. So we open brackets, and inside of the brackets let's use the head and then fill the property name type. So we can see that we have here the type property, so it needs to be exactly as it is on the elements. And then equals, open quotes. So we can see now here that we are targeting input field of type text, and there are two. So if we click here, we can go to the other one that we have, which is also input field with the type text. So here we can see a little problem because we are targeting two fields with our expression. So we have to find a way that allows to target uniquely each field, and on this case the employee name. So we might use here this label to as an anchor, let's say, to be able to target uniquely this field because they are somewhat related. So if we expect here this label, here we can see that it's an element of type span, which is inside of a div, which basically covers all the elements inside. And this span doesn't cover our input field, as we can see. So it will not work on this case. So it must be a element that basically it's above our input field, and our input field must belong to this element. So we can use here this div because it owns our input field. And if we look to the attributes, we can see they are a bit crazy, so this one doesn't seem suitable. However, we can see here on the data params that we have here employee name. So what we can do is look to a div where the parameter, the property or the attribute data params contains employee name. So how we can do that? So before input, let's add again // then, so we want to target a div, let's open brackets, and so we want to target a div which contains, and now we have to tell the attribute to check, so data params, and now let's add a comma, and so what it should contain employee name. And now we have to close parentheses. And now here we can see that we are only targeting this input field, the input field for the employee name. So what is happening here? First, we are looking for a div which has the attribute data params, and on this attribute it must contain the text employee name, and inside of this div we are looking for the input field which has the type text, and that's basically it. So let's just copy our expression, and now let's paste it here inside the double quotes, and then right after the double quotes let's add a comma, And now we have to specify which is the target method. So let's add here by, and now let's add a dot XPath. So we are telling that we want to find the element by XPath. So now after finding the element, fill the data. So here we call for the variable that will basically represent the element. Then let's add a dot and use the send keys. So it allows to basically write text on the field. And now what we want to write on the employee name field, the employee name. So let's use row, and here let's specify the column name that as the employee name. So make sure it's exactly as is on the file. And that's basically it. So before testing our bot, let's just add here a small delay after opening the browser. So let's add here bot.wait, and for example 1 second, 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. And it's true that there are better ways to wait elements to be loaded and to verify that. However, let's keep it simple and just use this bot.wait, which causes a delay. And let's just run and see how it's running. So we can see that for each row that was iterated was basically filled the employee name. So it's working fine. So we can go now for the next field, and this one will be very similar with just a small change on the XPath. So let's just stop here. And now we can copy what we have here basically. And let's just change the variable. So let's create a new variable, which will be years of service field. And basically, and here what will distinguish the years of service from employee name field will be what we have on the data params on the div. So if we take a look here, so let's inspect here this section on the years of service. Here we can see that we have a div also. However, this one has years of service. So what we have here on the label. So what we can do here, let's just change here to years of service on our XPath. And here we can see now that we are targeting uniquely these input fields. So let's just copy our XPath and replace for what we have here. And now what we want to write on this field, it's the years of service. So I'll just copy here the column name and replace here what we have. So now it should fill the years of service. So let's give it a try. Let's just have here a small delay. And let's see how it's running. So let's run. So we can see it's working fine. So it's filling properly the employee name field and years of service. And now it has stopped it here because I have a breakpoint and I have executed the Python bot in debug mode. So let's just stop here. Now the next field, it seems a drop down. So let's just inspect here. And what you can see, so basically it's not a real drop down. So normally the real drop downs, let's say, has the tag select. And here we don't have a field of type select. So if this was a real drop down, we could use a function that will basically select the value without having to click here and then choose the option. So it will be faster and better. However, this is the case. So as it is the real dropdown. Click here to open the options and then choose the option. So let's go back to our code and let's declare a new variable, department field equals bot.findElement. And now let's open the lookquotes. And now, so we have to create our XPath. So what we can see here, so if we inspect this section, we can see that we have also here a div like these ones that we have used for these input fields that has the data params attribute, and here we have department. So that's a good point. So this div owns all elements including this input field, this field. So we can start by it. So here first we go to the div that contains the attribute data params. So this attribute must have the text department. So we are targeting only this div, and now we want to target something inside of this div. If we take a look here, we can see here that we have this div role list box. So this seems a good option to try. So let's here now add div, open brackets, and so let's target a div that it's inside of this one, which contains the attribute role as we see here, and this attribute as a list box on its value. So let's add here a list box. Let's close parentheses, and we are targeting the field. So let's copy the expression. Let's paste it here. And now let's just say that we are targeting by XPath. And now what we'll do, let's click on the field. So let's see if it clicks here to open the menu, so the options. So department field dot click, and let's just add here some delay after fill the years of service. So let's see how it's running. So it's working fine. It opens the options. So after opening the drop-down options, we can click on the option that we have to select. So let's just first add here a bot to wait, got some delay after opening the drop-down. And then we have to target the option on the list. So let's add here department field option. And so here we'll target the option that should be clicked, which is what we have here on this column. So bot.findElement. And now we have to build the expression. So let's take a look here. So let's inspect. So let's inspect here. And so if we take a look, let's just increase here the size of the tab. So here we can see the options. So here, for example, it's sales. So we can see that we have here inside the text sales, we have here this attribute which contains the value sales, and also the same on other fields. So this attribute seems a reliable option. So what we can do, maybe use the role attribute and the data value attribute to target uniquely the option that we want to select. So let's give it a try. So we want to target a div which contains the attribute role with the value option. And then beyond having the attribute role with the value option, it also has the data value with the value, for example, sales. And here we can see that we are targeting here the option with the data value sales, and also it has the attribute role with the value option. And now let's replace by IT. And now here we can see that we are targeting the one that is related to IT. So seems it's working well. So let's try it on our bot. So here let's paste the expression. And now, very important, this must be dynamic. So this is something that must come from the row. So how we can pass here the value of the row. So here let's add an F before the first double quote. And this basically allows to easily format strings. So what we have here is a string. And now here let's open curly brackets. And let's call our row, and now we want to get what? We want to get the department. So we have to pass the department column name. And by this way, this will be dynamic. So when we create a row which has IT, we'll pass here on XPath IT, and so it will search for the right option. And let's not forget to add the targeting method. So by.xpath, and let's see if it works. So let's add another click. So after finding the option, we want to click to select it, and it should be this variable. So let's give it a try. So let's run our bot. So we can see that it seems that it tries to select, but because this is so fast, the click doesn't really select the option. So let's try here to increase a bit the delay after opening the list of options. And also let's add here a small delay after selecting the option of half a second. So let's just run again. Now it's working fine. So now you can see that it's selecting each department that comes from the row. So now it seems it's working fine. So it's selecting the department that comes from each row. So that's good. So now that we have this part working, we just have to set up this field that basically is just a multiple choice. So it's just only possible to choose one option. So now, so we have to target. So let's handle this field. So first, let's here declare a new variable, employee satisfaction field. And so first we have to find it and get the element. So let's build the XPath expression. And so we can get started by setting up the expression following the same idea that we have already used before. So let's here inspect, Control F, and then let's do here Control F. So we can here first target this div, and then we'll look what is inside of the div. So let's just inspect. Here we can see that we have a similar thing that we have seen on other fields. So we have a div that basically owns everything inside, including these fields. So here we can see that inside we have here employee satisfaction. So we can search here. So basically we can say that we want to get the div which has employee satisfaction on data params attribute. So let's see how it's working. So here I have to delete this S. So it's working fine. And now we want to look something inside of this div. And in this case, click on it. So let's inspect one of them. And so what we can see here, so we have a span which has some weird attributes with values that doesn't seem reliable. However, on the span we have the text, so we can target this field with the text that it contains. So how we could do it? So here, let's add now span. So we want to search for a span that it's inside of this div that we find from this part of the expression. And inside of this span, so now let's open brackets. We want to search for a span which has the text, and now let's say satisfied. And as we can see, it's working. So we are targeting the satisfied option. Let's give a try to neutral. And it's working fine. So it seems we can use the expression to target uniquely each option. So let's go back to our bot. And now let's paste here. And now this must be dynamic. So this value must come from the row as we have did here for the dropdown. So for that, let's add here the F to easily format this string. And now let's call here inside the row. And let's get the satisfaction rating. So let's copy the column name. Let's paste it. And that's basically it. So now we have to tell that we are targeting by XPath. And right after, so after we find and get the element, we want to click on the option. And that's it basically. So here let's add just a bot.wait, so a delay after clicking of half a second. Let's save and let's run. So have it already running, just stop it on this breakpoint. So we can just restart by clicking on this button to restart the execution. It seems it's working well, so it's selecting each option depending on the row that is being iterated. So each row has its own employee satisfaction rating. So it seems it's working fine. The part of filling the fields. So now we have to set up the click on the submit button. So let's just stop here. So after filling each form field, we have to click here on the submit button. So let's inspect the button. And so here we can see that we have a div, and then inside of the div we have a span. So yeah, basically we have to click here on the span, but it must work also on the div. It seems it represents the button. So let's try first by clicking on the div. So this one should be easy. So we want to find the div which has the role button. So let's add the hat. And yeah, we are targeting other three buttons. so it's not enough. So we want to click on the element that it's inside of this div. So we want to click on the span. So after typing the div, let's find the span. And so this span has the text equal to submit. Seems it's working well. We are tying uniquely and only these buttons. So let's copy the expression. And now let's declare the variable submit btn bot.find element, and here let's pass an XPath. Now by .xpath, and we want to click on this button. So let's run. So let's execute here on debug. And we got an exception, so it seems wasn't found the submit button. So it seems when the browser is open from the automation, the buttons are in Portuguese, so doesn't appear submit, but on my side appears submit in Portuguese. So in your side, if it happens the same, just adapt to what appears on your side if it's on another language. So you just have to make sure what we have here, it's what appears when the bot opens the browser on the form. So I'll change to what is on my side, and let's restart the execution. And it worked. And here seems it appears also these options in Portuguese. You might get the same behavior on your side, but yeah, that's not a problem. So now I'll just simulate here the page, which has the option to add another response. And here we can see that appears in English, opposite from what appears when it's opened by the bot, which appears to me in Portuguese. So here, let's inspect. And this one should be pretty easy. So we want target element that has the tag A, and as the text submit another response. So let's just test the expression. So A, which has the text submit another response. And it's working well. So I just have to replace this by Portuguese. What will appear when the bot opens the browser. So now here, let's create another variable, submit another response btn bot.find element, paste expression, and yeah, I need to copy, so I'll paste it, target by XPath, and after getting the element, let's do a click, and let's just add here some delay before and after. So in Portuguese, so I just had to replace here the text by what will appear in Portuguese. So let's see how it's running. And seems it's working well, so it has added one response and now it's adding more rows to the web form, data from the rows, and so it's doing this until there are rows to process. So no more rows to process. The bot quit from the loop And now we are here with the breakpoint. I'll just remove it so the automation can move forward and basically, in this case, close the browser. So now we have a working automation. However, we have been just running it locally from our machine. So now let's take a step further and deploy our automation on BotCity Maestro orchestrator, from where we can manage and scale our automations. So to deploy an automation to BotCity Maestro, we can either use the CLI or the Easy Deploy feature, from which we can simply deploy our automations by uploading them to the platform. So we'll use the Easy Deploy. But just before deploy our automation to BotCity Maestro, we have to do a small edit on the code. So here on the bottom, we can see some commented lines. And basically with these lines, we can mark the automation task, so the automation execution as finished on BotCity Maestro and with the status success. So it's important to uncomment these lines, because if we don't uncomment, what will happen? Even if our automation runs successfully without any exception, if we don't mark the task as finished and success, it will show up on Maestro as failed. So we don't want that. So let's uncomment these lines. And that's basically it. So let's save the file. And now let's go back to the orchestrator and click on Easy Deploy. And first we have to define the automation name. So let's say web form filling. And let's click on Next. Now we have to upload the project. So we have to put the automation project on a zip folder. So here, let's do a right click and click on Rebuild in File Explorer. So now we can go back, and now let's zip this folder. So here we have it. So now we can simply drag the zip folder to here. So we have added it successfully. Also here we can define the bot technology. So let's choose here Python. And also we have to choose the repository, so let's choose what is available, default. So now we can click on Next. And now we have to define where we want to run the automation, on a VM, on our physical machine, on a Docker container. So here we just have our machine header, so let's select it. And now we have to click on Deploy. And here we can see that we have successfully deployed our first automation to BotCity Orchestrator. So now if we go to automations, and here we can see the automation that we have added right now. So now we can start an execution of our automation from BotCity Orchestrator. So to start an execution, let's click here where it says New Task, which is a new execution. And now here we can see our automation. So let's click here on the New Task button. And now it appears this page, so we can just click on Create. And here we can see that the task was created and it's on queue. So now in order for the task to be executed, we must have the BotCity runner open on the machine where the task will be executed. So to open the BotCity runner, let's go over the installation folder where we have installed BotCity. And now let's start. So here, let's click on Launch BotCity Runner GUI. And now we have to click on Start. And from the moment that we click on Start, it will listen for new tasks that are waiting to be executed, and will take, in our case, the one that we have created. So let's give it a try. Let's click on Start. So it's waiting for new tasks. And here we can see that got the task that we have created. So here we can see that execution failed. So let's try to get more details. So let's click here on info, and here we can see some details about the task execution. So here it says basically check the runner log for output information. So basically check the machine logs. So to see them, let's click here on runners. And now here we have our runner. Let's click here and click on logs. And here we can see the logs. So let's just scroll to see if we find an error. And here we can see an exception. So it says no module named openpyxl. And it ends also with this exception. And here you can see that it ends with the exception missing optional dependency. Use pipar conda to install openpyxl. So I did some research and I was able to find a solution. So it seems that pandas uses behind the scenes the openpyxl dependency. So we should include it here on the requirements.txt. So here let's have openpyxl and let's just save. And now let's do a zip again of our project. And now let's go back here to bots and let's deploy a new version of our automation. So here we have to provide the bot ID of our existing automation. Bot technology is Python, repository default. The version is 1.1 because we have already 1.0. And now let's upload here our newer version. Let's create. So now we have a new version of our bot. So we have learned how we can deploy a new version. So now we just have to make it as the one to be used. So let's click here and let's click on release. And now let's confirm. So now the version that will be used, it's the most recent one. So now let's go over new task. And let's click on new task. Create. And here you can see some execution failures that was while I was doing the troubleshooting to find the solution. So now it's on queue. Let's just wait a bit. And here we can see that was opening the browser and our bot is working. So it's filling the data from the Excel file on the web form. So let's just wait it to finish. And so the automation task was finished, as we can see here. And that's it for this tutorial. Please let me know your thoughts on RPA with Python and BotCity on the comments. Also, if you want to stay updated on the latest BotCity platform news, make sure you follow them on social media. You can find the links on the description. And also, if you want to learn more about BotCity, make sure you check out the docs. Also, you can find the link to the docs on the description of this tutorial. And that's all from my side, so I'll see you on the next tutorial.